Well, look, the COVID Save Up is an important mechanism to facilitate the tracing, and I'm sure that people that are expert in these things will continue to review and assess how these things can be further improved. But look, I mean, as part of a suite of measures, it's one important component.
Is it time to ditch it, though, and look at the Apple and Google version?
No, no.
Can I ask you about the AFL moved more than 300 people, family, staff, employees, into Queensland yesterday, got exemptions to get in for the AFL Finals series, yet a pregnant mother who needed surgery on an unborn child couldn't get into a hospital in Queensland. Where's the fairness in that?
Well, and that is a very good question, and it's a question that the Premier of Queensland, Annastacia, should be answering. So, and in the end, our call on state premiers has been for some time to have and to develop and to put in place common sense, practical solutions to cross-border issues to ensure that, yes, we continue to manage the health risk to the greatest extent possible, but also to ensure that we can open up the economy in a way that is COVID safe to the greatest extent possible, and to show compassion and empathy to the very serious challenges faced, in particular by border communities on our state borders.
Is it fair, though, that hundreds of people for a sporting code, millionaires wanting to buy homes can get into a state and relocate, but people needing medical treatment can't?
Well, people who need medical treatment should get medical treatment. I mean, there's no question. Australia wasn't built to have internal borders. And yes, I mean, we do understand and we support the need to stop and to suppress and to stop the spread of the virus, wherever that is necessary, and to take the measures necessary to minimise, to the greatest extent possible, the risk of further outbreaks, of course. But it's got to be done in a practical, common sense, sensible fashion, and there is opportunity for state and territory governments to do much better when it comes to state borders.
China has suspended exports from one of our largest barley exporters. Do you accept their claim that quarantine tests were found in these shipments?
Look, I know CBH very well. It's a highly regarded company in my home state of Western Australia, which has got a great track record when it comes to exporting high-quality grain products. Look, I mean, we respect the fact that China, like any other country would, like we do, has got quarantine inspection arrangements, and we will be working with the company once we are aware of all of the facts to make the appropriate representations.
Multiple instances where China has begun investigations into whether it be wine or barley, which the Australian government has then subsequently denied. How many investigations will it take before you concede that perhaps their motivations are political? Well,
I'm not going to speculate. We're going to take things at face value. I mean, the truth is Australia's grain products, Australia's barley products are highly regarded all around the world. There's a global price for that product. If there is less opportunity to export high-quality Australian grain into China, there will be more opportunity to export that grain into other markets around the world, and that will be a great advantage to people all around the world that can benefit from our grain.
Governments have approached the pandemic like trauma doctors instead of thinking like health economists. Is the cost justified in saving lives from coronavirus when governments previously haven't been willing to spend the same amount to protect people from other types of disease?
Well, we were hit by an unexpected crisis which came out of nowhere, and clearly the first priority was to protect people's health, to save people's lives by suppressing the spread of the virus, and that was absolutely necessary. As part of that, we did have to impose significant restrictions on the economy in order to suppress the spread of the virus. That was appropriate. What is true is that once you have stabilized the situation, of course we need to do everything we can to get the pathway out of this into the new normal, to ensure that we can maximize economic activity and the strength of the recovery in a way that is COVID safe. And on that front, we were on a good path in June, July, earlier than expected initially. There was a big setback with what was happening in Victoria. We've got to get back onto that path to the new normal, to the strongest possible economic recovery on the other side, and that is what the Prime Minister and the Australian government is working on.
Billions of dollars that have been spent worth the number of lives that have been saved, given all the other impacts to the economy and other areas?
Look, we stand by the decisions that we made to protect people's health, to save lives by suppressing the spread of the virus, and we are also committed to protect people's livelihoods. We're also committed to ensure we maximise the strength of the recovery on the other side, and that is why we need to ensure we have the systems in place to minimise to the greatest extent possible the risk of further outbreaks through testing, tracing, rapid response to outbreaks, and through COVID-safe work practices all around Australia. That's what we need to do so that we can maximise the level of economic activity in a way that is COVID-safe.
Some of your Victorian colleagues called the Victorian Premier to release a plan, a roadmap out of this crisis. What's the federal government's road out of this first recession in 30 years?
Well, you know, we are working very hard to provide confidence and the encouragement and incentive to businesses to invest in the recovery, to invest in their future growth and success, so that viable, profitable businesses will start hiring again. And I mean, if you look at what was happening in June and July, I mean, in June, 280,000 jobs were restored in the economy. Instead of a 10% unemployment rate, official unemployment rate at the end of June, we had a 7.4% unemployment rate. The effective unemployment rate had fallen quite dramatically from its peak in April. But of course, after that, we had the setback in Victoria. So we need to work, all levels of government, we need to work together to get on top of the outbreak where we're not, to remain on top of the coronavirus where we are, and to open up the economy to the greatest extent possible in a way that is COVID-safe. We know what is causing the contraction in the economy. It is the economic impact of a health pandemic. So we've got to get on top of the health pandemic for reasons, obviously, to keep people safe, but also for economic reasons. And that is what we are totally focused on. And in the budget, we'll have our next instalment in terms of our plan to encourage businesses to invest in their future growth and success.